It is Friday, January 3rd, 2024. This is another edition of Football Today. It is presented to you by Captain Morgan, the official spiced rum of the NFL. You know those dudes. Justin Penik, Bobby Skinner. I am Chris Rose. Producer Connor is here as well as we break out the first edition of Football Today of the year 2025. Happy New Year, gentlemen. Everybody still in one piece? We good, Bobby?
Yes, all good. Had all the family got together, had a good time. How are you, Christopher Rose?
I am fine. Thank you very much. Yeah, both boys are here. Oldest brother and his wife came into town. It was nice. It was good. It's amateur night for me out there on New Year's Eve. So we got home at 12:15. It was very simple.
I went
I
to a
want to
rodizio.
You did
Oh,
what?
I went
what?
to a rodizio.
What's that?
It's basically, do you know what that is, Connor? It's basically where they just bring you endless amount of meat.
Oh, at a
Oh,
steakhouse. One of
Yes.
okay.
those.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
have the
yeah.
card and it's like red light, green light type thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Except we don't
Okay.
do cards. They just bring it.
Did you get the meat sweats the next day?
Oh, I got it that night.
Oh, perfect. That way, Panic way not to disappoint. All right, guys, we have arrived safely or semi-safely at week 18, the last week of the regular season. We're gonna get it going with. I love it. They save the best for last. It is the 14-2 Vikings at the 14-2 Lions. So, what's up for grabs here? The top dog in the NFC North, the number one seed. The loser has to go on the road wild card weekend as the 5 seed. So first of all, let's just go with who you see winning this thing, how this thing is going to play out. Bobby, you get first crack at it here.
But you said they saved the best for last. They had so much to choose from for this week. Just a monumental final week of the season. I'm gonna go the Vikings. Oh my God, I'm gonna go the Lions.
Actually, I kind of dig that, Bobby. The Likings. That way you can't make up your
And
mind.
I've been like battling on who I'm gonna pick in this game like all week because I still believe in the Lions, but that defense is not playing well, obviously. Giving up 31 points per game over the last 4 weeks, but they've been able to, stay step for step with every team except for the Buffalo Bills in that time. But they did beat Minnesota in Minnesota. They didn't have Aiden Hutchinson for that game. Carlton Davis didn't play well. And I like the Lions' resume this year a lot better than what the Vikings is. As good as the Vikings are, you know, they've they've have losses to the Lions and Rams who are playoff teams, and then their playoff wins are twice over the Packers and the Texans. They've gotten to play a lot of non-playoff teams this year. I'm taking the Lions at home. I feel like it means more to them too as well.
I'm going Vikings. I just feel like they're playing. I don't even want to say they're playing better ball right now, but it does come down to the defenses for me. Where I think the Vikings offense is going to be able to keep pace with the Lions offense. I really do. And I think the Vikings defense has more of a potential to make that X factor play, especially when it comes to Brian Flores is going to bring the blitz and he's going to bring pressure. Jared Goff is very good from throwing from a clean pocket. But Brian Flores, I believe it was the first matchup that he brought the blitz and he brought pressure on 55% of the snaps, which is pretty high for Jared Goff. And Jonathan Grenard got the best of Taylor Decker on a couple of those snaps too. So that's going to be like, obviously, no shit Sherlock, but that is going to be really the X factor of this game is can Brian Flores, can that Vikings defense get pressure on Jared Goff? And can the Vikings offense kind of keep pace with that Lions offense? Which my answer to that is yes, I think they can.
Well, I don't even know if it's so much can the Vikings keep pace with the Lions offense. I think it's a question of can the Lions defense keep Minnesota out of the end zone. Um, Three of the last four games, Detroit has allowed at least 30 points per game. That's tough. That's tough to make a really good run through the NFC. I suppose the good news is they've scored 30 plus in four straight games. So, yeah, they can pretty much score at will. I don't know if they'll be able to do that against this Brian Flores defense this time. Did they win earlier this year in the matchup, 31-29? Yes, they did. Did they have a double-digit lead going into the fourth quarter on the road? Yes, they did. I do think, though, that this is a Minnesota team that is a little bit different. Like, I think that they, even though they were off to a great start back then, I think they were still trying to figure out, boy, can we rely on Sam Darnold? And the question is, Do you guys trust Sam Darnold to win a huge road game? Bobby?
Yeah, I do. At least against the Lions defense. I do. Um, but you mentioned like, the Vikings offense has, been humming a little more. I think their defense has fallen off compared to what's early in the season. Just putting, stuff they do on film. And Goff has done historically well against Brian Flores
Mm-hmm.
defenses to where, like, we remember the Vikings defense earlier in the season, nobody could do anything. 49ers get smoked, Texans get smoked. Like, they were just smoking everybody. Their defense has been good down the stretch, but nowhere near the level they were earlier in the year.
All right. Let me ask you this question then. Whoever wins is going to get the bye. We'll see in the divisional round. The loser is going to be a 14-win wild card road team. What percentage chance do you give that team of reaching the Super Bowl? And is there a huge percentage difference between Detroit and Minnesota falling to the 5 seed? Penik, you can hit off first on this one.
They would have to play Tampa, right? Most likely.
In the first round.
We don't. It's not locked in yet. The Rams, because if the Rams lose to Seattle and Tampa ends up beating New Orleans, then Tampa ends up moving to the 3 seed.
That is not an easy opening round matchup. Either one of those teams.
Right.
The Lions have lost to them this year. That's one of their two losses.
Yes. So what's the percentage chance? I would say it's not that far off from if like whoever wins the division, whoever loses this game, I'll say not that much of a dramatic difference in my eyes of their chances to make the Super Bowl. You still got to play these teams. You still got to win football games. I don't think having the home, it's the week off that really is the most important factor in this rather than home or away, in my opinion.
And I think that matters a lot for the Lions. Like, they know what they are right now. They're banged up. They have to outscore teams. I think having a bye week and home field advantage is a big deal to them, right? If the way they have to play, where you got to run and gun and just score 30 plus to win a game, having 1 week off of that and just being like, all right, we got to outscore 2 teams instead of 3 teams in a row, and it all being on the road, I think that makes a significant difference for Detroit. Minnesota, I think they are what they are, whether it's a home or on the road. Obviously, you want to have that week off, but I think this means a lot for Detroit because they have. I mean, they were Super Bowl picks before the year. The Vikings not. I know that doesn't mean anything at this point, but I think the Lions really feel the urgency to get this locked up.
I love all those points. The one interesting tidbit that I'll throw out in the factoid world is that the Lions are the lone unbeaten road team in the NFL this year. They are 8-0 away from home. So if they have to take a trip on the road and win 2 or 3 road games, whatever it may be, so be it. By the way, if you're curious about the percentages, a number 1 seed has made the Super Bowl 55% of the time. A number 5 seed has made it 3.3% of the time. So you're talking about playing for everything this weekend. It's the final regular season game. It's on Sunday Night Football, and what a way to close out the season. So, Bobby, you said you've got the Lions. Penik, you've got the Vikings?
Yep.
I'm so bad at my. By the way, how are we doing on predictions? Do you want to just give an update on where we stand?
If you give your prediction, I'll have the update for you after you give your prediction.
Well, I know I'm the worst at it, so whichever team is hoping that I pick the other, that fan base. You know what? I'm going to go with the Lions at home. I just think it's a little too much to overcome for Minnesota. That place is going to be raucous. It's going to be insane. So now do you have it?
I do. Thanks to our associate producer, Rich Blunk, once again. Our Week 17 pick update. Bobby, you went 11 for 13. Congratulations. Chris Rose, you went 10 for 12, and I went 9 for 13. One of my worst weeks in a long time. I'm still leading the pack, though. 62.6% winning rate this year. Chris Rose, 58.6. So you're not the worst. Bobby Skinner is the worst at 55.2%.
Okay, there you go.
No ball.
Fun game. That's all I can tell you is it's a great way to end the season. So that's awesome. All right, folks, it is the new year. We're all about setting goals, but actually hitting them around here. And that's why we want to introduce you to today's sponsor. It is Huel, spelled Huel. It is the global complete nutritional brand trusted by millions out there. Huel is perfectly balanced meal. It's designed by experts to provide all the nutrients your body needs from a meal. Huel takes the guesswork out of healthy eating. They're convenient, they taste good. Huel shakes actually taste like, hey, a milkshake. What a novel idea. And they come in chocolate or vanilla. My personal favorite, it's the black edition ready to drink because it's got 35 grams of protein plus 27 vitamins and minerals all in one handy bottle. After my workout, which I've been getting back to lately, I throw that thing down. I feel filled up and ready to go. So join the community of hooligans with this exclusive offer for our new customers. 15% off plus a free gift with the code football today at Huel.com. That is 15% plus a free gift for new customers with the code football today at Huel.com. Start your year off strong. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters in 2025 and beyond. All right, we continue on. Three for one spot in the AFC wildcard. Denver, for the third straight week, has the inside track. It'll be win and in. If the Broncos lose to Kansas City, once again, they're not going to be playing Patrick Mahomes and a bunch of their big names. And if Miami beats the Jets, then the Dolphins are in. If both Denver and Miami fall and Cincinnati wins at Pittsburgh on Saturday night, they are in. Penik, who's getting in?
Cincinnati. It's very unlikely. I'm rooting for that so bad, though.
Yes.
I'm rooting for it. So, if number one, for my own narrative, sitting here in August and this summer telling you how, Joe Burrow, which by the way, I was right about Joe Burrow just being awesome. It's like, you felt it last year, right before he got hurt, and he had the slow start, but he was playing like MVP ball before he got hurt for like that month stretch last year. It's like, I just feel like it's going to happen again. And damn, if it weren't for that bad defense, it would be a legit conversation between Burrow and Lamar. And I actually think Josh Allen may even be left out of that conversation if the Bengals defense was a little bit better. I'm rooting for Cincinnati. It's very unlikely. If my rooting interest is Cincinnati. If I'm being real, the Broncos probably just beat the Chiefs, and that's that.
Yeah, I mean that's the Broncos. The Broncos. If the Broncos don't get in, this is an ultimate choke job of all time when you consider how they lost last week, and then losing to the Chiefs backups, which the Chiefs can't even win outside of a one-score game. Besides the last couple of weeks, but you know most like I think one-score wins of all time or something like that this year for the Kansas City Chiefs. If they can't beat the backups, then that's a disgrace. But the Broncos are in this. The only thing is please do not let the Dolphins somehow slip in with Tyler Huntley at quarterback.
Well, to me, the biggest fear was that Indianapolis was going to sneak in. We'd have to watch Anthony Richardson go 7 of 68 in a playoff game in Buffalo when it's 8 degrees. Even though I'm an AFC North guy and the Bengals are one of my rivals, I so want to see them play Buffalo in round one. I just think that'd
We
be
all
amazing.
do.
We all do. Do you think that Kansas City's decision at all has to do with the fact of trying to keep Cincinnati out of the playoffs? Does anybody think that here?
It'd be a fun conversation because then they have to beat the Bills and the Bengals most likely. No, I don't though. I think they're a team that's got some older players that need rest. There's just no need for them. They've been there, they've done that.
Mhm.
Give them the rest that they need to.
Yeah, let me play this out because we look at it and we were like, okay, well, there's no Mahomes. I'm sure no Kelsey. I imagine Joe Tooney and most of that offensive line is going to sit it out. It's still the same coaches. It's still the same scheme. You can't sit everybody, although presumably you can because as long as guys don't get hurt, the backups are going to play, right? So as long as you have enough guys, you can bring up two extra guys from the practice squad. That'll help fill some spots, all that sort of stuff. But with that being said, if Denver, which is expected to win this weekend, if it's 10-7 Kansas City and it's halftime, don't you think Denver's going to be kind of shitting a brick in the locker room? Like, what the hell? And then you never know how it goes in the second half.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just the Chiefs are so personnel led with everything that they do that when you put the backup personnel in, like this could be a Denver blowout. Um, because I mean the Broncos are a pretty damn good team, right? So you put them against just flat out bad players, like I expect Denver to win this game pretty handedly.
God, I hope not. I mean,
Especially with
if they win
Carson
the,
Wentz at quarterback, like you're
yeah,
going
I
to take
know.
Sean Payton's defense versus Carson Wentz and the backup chief offensive line.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, they're gonna
I,
hit. They're gonna destroy. I think Wentz is gonna get destroyed.
Yeah, well, Denver does lead the NFL with 58 sacks. That is a franchise record. That is exceptional. So let's look at this from the other side of things. We last saw the Chiefs on Christmas Day. That was a Wednesday. So they're either going to go 23 or 24 days in between games that count for a lot of these guys. Penik, do you think it's a mistake that Kansas City will not play a lot of its big names?
No, no, because I think these guys have been there. They've done that. And
They
this
haven't done this.
I think it depends on the player, right? I think it depends on the player, but also Rose. They play a lot of football, man. So even though it's not football that matters, like we're talking about they play football every single week. And this extra game is so crazy that these teams, like we even listed, we were talking about the NFC, the Lions and the Vikings, they all had their buys either the first week of October or the second week of October. They've been playing football every single week since then. So I will take any kind of time off, especially when you're talking about playing 2 or 3 more games. I'm taking any time off that I can get.
Especially when I think that Travis Kelce is so important to what they do in the playoffs. Like I want him as fresh as possible.
Same thing with Chris
Um,
Jones. Like, those guys, like, yeah.
yeah,
Fresh.
like it's so important to those. Yeah, it's so they need everybody they got. I don't really ever. I've never bought into the rust part. I think that matters when you're talking about a bye week when guys go on a literal vacation during that and then they come back. Because think about the way you come back to work after a vacation. But when it's playoffs and it matters, I mean, they're going to be dialed in. And like you mentioned, Rose, the 1 seed gets there. I understand this is an extra week on top of that, but we've seen that before. I think anytime that one of these teams loses, we talk about that. But in reality, majority of the time, the better team wins the game.
I do remember a few years ago. I want to say it was a Colts team, one of those Tony Dungy teams,
Was it
where
against the Jets?
they didn't have to play anybody, and then they had a bye, and then they came out and they lost in the divisional round, and they looked sloppy. I'm just saying, I think that we assume that because they are such a veteran laden team that they'll be able to just snap it right into gear. Well, that's not who they are anymore, right? Offensively, they haven't even scored 30 points this year. Right, I think they're one of 3 teams now that your Giants were unstoppable last week against the Colts. I believe they're one of 3 teams that have not scored over 30 this year. Um, I don't know. I could see it both ways. I mean, I wouldn't have a problem with some of those guys getting out there and getting a little blood flowing, and I understand the injury risk and all of that, but just to get them going for 1 week, I mean, this would be unprecedented, the amount of time off.
I would be interested to hear because this is one of
They're
those
still
questions.
practicing.
This is one of those
Yeah.
questions where it's like I feel like you kind of had to be there and do it and have like that kind of perspective on it. So
Hmm.
this is something where I think this could be a conversation that we talk about again. If any of these teams that take time off or rest their even like the Eagles, for example, if the Eagles kind of come out in their wild card round and they look a little sluggish, right? Maybe ask like a MJD and let us know, Chris Rose.
Well,
I'd be very interested.
He played for
he
the
thinks
Jags and the Raiders, dude.
Well, I'm just talking about like a former player's perspective on this. Not, I think he could talk on this kind of topic, even though if you never went through it.
most of the time he does say that guys should play. He really feels that. And then when you talk to most players, they do want to play. They don't want to sit out. They're just used to, there might be a guy who's a 12-year veteran who's like, yeah, I could really use the extra time off. But most of the players love to play football. Like Sunday is their fun day. They want to go do that. All right. So do we all have Broncos and we all think that the Broncos are going to end up winning this thing?
Yep.
Yes,
Broncos, Jets, and Bengals win this week.
begrudgingly, I say that.
What? Wow. You just gave us all the picks. So I guess we all should, while we're
Yeah,
here.
might as well.
Yeah. Okay. So Jets and Dolphins there, Penik?
Jets.
God. You don't believe in Tyler Huntley, who looked great last week against Cleveland. He ran for a touchdown. I believe he was 22 of 26 in the rainy weather. Now you don't trust him if he goes up to I haven't even checked the forecast what it's supposed to be like in the Meadowlands.
What's it
You
like
guys
there right now, Justin?
Panic? You got our 5 day
Cold,
forecast?
cold and sunny.
Hmm.
Is this the cheapest? I got to check our segment, cheapest
Is
ticket of the week.
stick of the week.
Oh, ooh. Well, you can give it to us when we make our final picks after our last topic that's coming up. I don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to go out the way that he has played much of the season. I actually think he wants to go out a winner, get that 5th win of the year, and totally end the Dolphins' run at an AFC wild card. And then Saturday, you've got the Bengals over the Steelers, even though it's regardless, that game is going to mean something for the Steelers. Earlier in the day, they will have found out if the AFC North is still up for grabs. But at the very least, if they win, they'll be the 5 seed, which means you go to Houston. If they lose and then the Chargers beat the Raiders on Sunday, then the Steelers go to Baltimore the following week. So, Bobby, you just kind of brushed that off as saying the Bengals were going in no matter what. Now that you know everything that's at stake, you're still taking the Bengals?
Yeah, I think the Bengals win, and it's very. We're watching a couple of terrible games on Sunday with their hope, and their hopes and dreams get crushed by the Bo Nix Denver Broncos.
Panic?
Bengals. I need my dream to be alive.
God, I'm rooting for the Bengals so hard, but is this like a sort of week that the Steelers put it together and maybe score an offensive touchdown or two? I don't think so. I think the Bengals are going to keep that run going, and they finish 9-8 and on the outside of the playoffs. And we're all wondering what they could do with even just a top 20 defense in the NFL. Man, oh man. Still got a little more to go, but Justin Penik has got this word for us.
And I will talk to you about Captain Morgan, and I'll give you a final update on the Captain Morgan Playmakers Fantasy Football Championship. It really is the year of Dalton Philly. He beat Shelfie in the championship. Dalton Philly is the 2 seed. Shelfie at the 4 seed beat. Dalton Philly takes home the championship. Like he won all the championships in the warehouse. Kind of crazy, kind of great year for Dalton Philly. And I want to thank Captain Morgan for being part of us, being with us every single step of the way. Grab your crew, grab a captain and a cola, make it a story to remember because legends start when you follow the captain. Visit followthecaptain.com for more. Please drink responsibly. Captain Morgan Original Spice Rum, 35% alcohol by volume. Captain Morgan Rum Company in New York, New York. You will be glad you did. I will always say that I would have won a championship if Tyreek Hill decided to show up this year. I had a championship team.
So you're blaming players. And by the way, he played without his starting quarterback 5 games this year. I don't know what you expect. Come on, Panic. Stop being a finger pointer. Nobody likes that around here.
Just
Hey,
use
when you point a finger at someone else, you got 3 pointing back at you.
Yeah, that away. That away. Okay. Eagles locked up the 2 seed in the NFC. I think they're the only seed that's been locked up over in that conference. Saquon Barkley, 101 yards shy of breaking Eric Dickerson's single-season rushing record, which has stood for 40 years. And he will not play against the team that drafted him, the New York Giants, in Week 18. He said, well, I talked it over with Nick Sirianni, and Sirianni talked it over with the front office and ownership as well, and they came to the decision, let's rest him. Let's rest our O-line. Let's rest as many guys as possible and use this as our bye week as we get ready to host the 7 seed. You okay with that decision, Bobby, or no?
No, and I'm taking out any type of Giants bias in this, and just as a fan of the NFL, the rushing record means something. There's different records where it doesn't mean. I think it's passing touchdowns and the single season rushing record. Like those are the single season marks that mean something. The sack one is there too. Those mean a lot, and those turn into really memorable seasons. Obviously Eric Dickerson's 40 years ago, but Adrian Peterson almost getting there. We all remember watching that game and him getting so close to it, and like Jamal Lewis, 20 years ago, like he set the single game record that year versus the Browns, had like 500 yards versus the Browns that entire year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we didn't think he would get that one, but he had 200 yards the week before. So it's like, can he do it again? And there's this argument, well, it's a 17-game schedule, so it wouldn't mean as much. Okay, it may not mean as much in this moment for you, but when Dickerson set the record, OJ had hit his 2,000 yards in 14 games. So Will people say the 17 game thing right now to discredit it? Sure, they will. But this record for Saquon Barkley could hold for 40 years, just like Eric Dickerson's had. And that's how you get remembered. That's how you go to your autograph signing events, and that's how you get announced. Like, and they're just, and it's not far off. Like he could do this in, 3 quarters realistically. I know it's all about championships and stuff like that, but I don't like sacrificing what I think is a pretty important record. It's not the home run record in baseball, but I think it's a pretty important record. And the fact that it stood 40 years, 16 game or 17 game schedule or not, is pretty it's pretty crazy to just pass that up.
Yeah, we're not talking 200 yards. We're not talking a buck 50. It's 101 yards. 101 yards going up against the Giants personnel in that defense out of all teams, which we know them well. And then also, like Bobby, we know Saquon well. This is fucking eating at him, man. Like he's a good soldier, and he talked about the legacy and the impact of it and how it would mean a lot. And he's being a good soldier, and he didn't pitch a fit. But knowing him, man, like this has to be eating at him, right?
Oh, absolutely. We like I said, me and Justin know Saquon pretty well, and this is I forget even just knowing him. It would eat at anybody.
Yeah.
I understand there's the chance of injury, right? And then we all look back and laugh, but I feel like there's things in sports that matter more than just winning a championship at the end of the day.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think it matters for Eric Dickerson that he's got to spend the last 40 years as the single season rushing record
Yeah, because
holder?
that's the only thing you know. I mean, listen,
Okay, so what if the Eagles don't win the Super Bowl this year, which none of us are picking them to?
but it's not an either or situation. You're not picking one or the other. The likelihood. So you're saying that the Philadelphia Eagles, if you were to go around and ask the locker room, would you rather be part of a rushing record or would you rather be part of a Super Bowl champion? I mean, if you're going to play that game, that's the way you're seeing look at it.
Well, like you said, it's not either. It's not an either or thing.
Well, of course they want a shot at both, and this is the only week they have a shot at both because after this week, then the discussion goes away. Here's the thing. Sirianni has come under a ton of fire, and all the guy has done pretty much is win, right? He's made the playoffs, he's made the Super Bowl, and I've had a hard time defending him with some of his antics, whether it's yelling at the crowd or Big Dom in his corner or going after Zach Ertz or whatever it is. I have a hard time. You know what's a fireable offense? Is having Saquon Barkley sprain his ankle in a game that literally means zero outside of a rushing record. They could not play the game. They could go forfeit the game, and everybody would be like, yeah, sure. If the rushing record wasn't on the table, that's exactly what Eagles fans and the NFL fans would want this year. You know what gets you fired? Putting him out there, putting him and his offensive line, because you're going to have to play the offensive line. You're gonna have to play those dudes if you want to try and get this thing done by the early third quarter, which is basically what he did last time against the Giants. He ran for I think a buck 76 when he beat them 28-3. Yes, do I love him going and having a chance to pass Eric Dickerson? That would be cool. Does it mean a ton to his offensive line coach, all those dudes, the wide receivers who bust their ass to block for him, the tight ends, all those guys? Absolutely, I understand that. But at the end of the day, yeah, you are trying to win a freaking championship, and giving these guys rest is a good. We just spent time talking about the Chiefs, who are going to play a game for 3 weeks, and we're all like, yeah, we should rest them. Here we're like, no, the Eagles should just step on it.
Because I think this means something.
It does mean something, but so do championships and the best shot of giving yourself a championship. There is no guarantee that resting Saquon and the offensive line will help them win a championship. But wouldn't you agree that it gives them a better shot?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously. But again, you're betting on you're basically like saying injuries will like you're betting on injuries happening. And again, you could see the game flow and make a decision out there. But I just I as a NFL fan, as a Giants fan, do I want it to happen? No, I don't. As an NFL fan, I would like to see him break that record.
I'm in the same boat as Bobby.
Yeah, of course.
And
it'd be fun.
Saquon doesn't have some slam dunk Hall of Fame case or anything like that either. He's missed games, so he doesn't have like these great total career stats, he could be a borderline Hall of Fame guy, and could be something that gets him in.
Yeah, I think that if you're over 2,000 yards and you're at least in the discussion, I mean, he's got to keep going or he turns into Chris Johnson,
Well, that's what
right?
I'm saying, but like it's I feel like that I think there's three records that mean a lot in football. It's the single season passing touchdowns, it's the rushing yards, and then the single season sack number. And I would like to see Saquon get the chance to go for that.
I agree it'd be fun, but I understand it. And I don't think that Sirianni should be getting a ton of heat for it.
I don't think he
Trying
should
to,
be getting heat, right? Like I'm not sitting here saying like
yeah, I
how could
just
he
think
do
it's
this?
disappointing. I think it's a disappointing
Yeah.
scenario for everybody because we would like to see it mean, because other than that, it's going to be a two-play highlight when I'm doing the highlight show on Sunday. And we're going to show Saquon off the top. I know what this is going to look like. Saquon off the top, standing there, and two plays from the game, and then we'll move on because the
Yep, and then the
game.
Giants fall to have the eighth pick because the Eagles rest their starters.
Are you terrified of that? By the way,
No, I'm at the point now where they're not going to fire the GM Joe Shane, and I really want them to. So I'm like, all right, good. Now you get the eighth pick. Now what's your fucking plan, buddy?
let's do a prediction for Giants and Saquonless Eagles. Bobby
Giants.
Penik.
Is Kenny Pickett at quarterback?
I don't think we know exactly
McKee?
yet. It might be Tanner McKee.
Oh my God. Um,
Yeah, I don't think Pickett's playing.
Giants. Unbelievable.
It's in Philly, right?
Yeah.
It'd be the Giants' first win in Philly in what? How many years, Justin?
I think since they didn't do it in 2020.
No, it's been like since like 2016 or something like that,
Oh,
Justin. It's been longer than
2016.
that.
It's been longer than that. It's been longer
All
than
right. I think I'm gonna go. I think I'll go Philly. I don't care who's playing. I think they'll. I think they'll end up winning this one. All right. Let's do the rest of our predictions. Week 18 gets started in the Charm City in Baltimore as the Ravens are trying to clinch the division with a win over Cleveland. Bobby,
Um, Baltimore.
come on, don't. Are you trying to mock me by going?
No,
I
try
just that
me because I always act like it's such a surprise whenever we do the game picks. Ravens.
Yeah, Ravens. We already picked Cincinnati and Pittsburgh. So let's go Carolina, Atlanta. Atlanta needs to win to stay in the NFC South playoff race. Bobby.
Panthers upset victory.
Hmm.
I thought I was going to be the sexy one in St. Panthers, so I'll say Panthers. I think they're gonna beat Michael Penix.
I don't think so. Not on the road. Atlanta, I thought they did a great job hanging in that Washington game, forcing overtime. I think Penix has done some nice things in his short time as a starter. I'll go with Atlanta. Washington at Dallas. Washington, a win locks up the sixth seed. Bobby.
I got Washington in this one. They beat Dallas the second go around.
I agree.
I actually think Dallas is going to end up. This is going to be a big one for them. They did not play well last week at Philly. I think Dallas ends up winning at home. Green Bay still in the mix for that sixth seed with a win. They play host to the Chicago Bears, who I think last won a game in 2021. Bobby?
Yep, Bears are packing it up. Packers go. Packers go.
Bears are not going to win a single game on the road this year. Packers.
I got the Packers as well. Houston locked into the four seed. We haven't seen them since Christmas Day on the road at Tennessee. Bobby?
This is the cheapest game of the week. Tickets as low as $6. Texans are playing their guys. I'm going to go Texans. At least that's what D'Amico Ryan said a day ago.
Yeah, I'll go Texans too.
I think the Texans have to play their guys. They've looked horrible as of late. They'll sharpen it up with a win on the road. Jacksonville at Indianapolis, which has it's been a mess in Coltsville. Bobby?
Colts end up winning this game. I'll give them that.
Colts win the game, and Shane Steichen could be fired after going 17-17 through his first two seasons with bad to, at times, best average quarterback play.
Future Giants head coach Shane Steichen.
I'll take it.
I'll I too will take the Colts, not by a lot. Buffalo resting all of its starters, locked into the 2 seed in Foxborough, Bobby.
Patriots win. Drake May ready to go.
Yeah, why not? Patriots kind of played them somewhat well for a little bit. Patriots.
Patriots 2 weeks ago in Buffalo played one of their best games of the year, ended up losing by 3. Drake May, it sounds like, is going to start. I like him better than Mitchell Trubisky in this one. Saints on the road at the Bucks. Bucks with a win will wrap up their fourth straight division crown, Bobby.
Bucks smoke them. No more Marshawn Lattimore to get Mike Evans mad.
Bucks. Love my Bucks.
I got the Bucks as well. Chargers on the road at Vegas could mean something for LA. Could be playing for the 5 seed. They'll know as of late Saturday night. Bobby?
Yeah, Chargers win easily.
Same here.
I will put a caveat out. If Justin Herbert plays, I'll go Chargers. If it's Taylor Heineke, I think the Raiders win a third straight. Seattle on the road at Los Angeles. Rams have already clinched the division. They're just playing for the 3 or 4 seed. Bobby?
Seattle.
Yeah, Seattle is 6-1 on the road. Give me the Rams.
I've got Seattle. This is the best incentive clause follow of the week for Geno Smith. If he gets a win, he gets an additional $2 million.
Ooh.
If he gets 186 passing yards, he gets another $2 million on top of that. And if he completes more than 69.75% of his passes on the season, and he's on the good side of 70% at this point, he gets another $2 million. So he could get $6 million in incentives if things go right on Sunday. I'm picking the Seattle Seahawks. San Francisco at Arizona. Bobby.
Arizona. Josh Dobbs doesn't get the revenge game that he wants.
This is a revenge game? Yes.
Yes,
Give
it
me
is.
San
And
Fran.
we played against the Josh Dobbs Cardinals last year, Justin.
I know. I love Josh Dobbs, and it's a revenge game. Give me the 49ers.
I'm going to take the Niners. I think they finish on a winning note. So there you go. All right, boys, we are back at it again. We will set the playoff field on Monday. We'll have any sort of coaching news that happens on that day. Everybody, enjoy your Week 18 schedule. Big shout out to our guy Connor, who's been putting the show together, doing a great job. For Bobby Skinner, for Justin Penik, I am Chris Rose. Thanks so much for tuning in to Football Today, presented to you by Captain Morgan, the official spiced rum of the NFL.